Now the purpose of today's video is to do a review of this Reobrix TOG 2 tank. Full disclosure, the company of Reobrix contacted me and asked if I would review this tank, and they gave me a choice of 3 tanks, and they would send me the one of my choice free of charge for me to review. They also provided me with a code to put on my video. However, I did tell them I was going to do an honest review. In this video, I'm going to briefly touch on the prototype history of this very unique, one-of-a-kind tank. And by happenstance, about a week and a half ago, I was at the Tank Museum in Bovington, England, where the only TOG 2 tank resides. Perfect timing to be doing this review. I'm going to take some of these bricks and I'm going to compare the fit and finish with other brands. This is not going to be a build video where you have to sit and watch me build the thing. However, anything that comes along of interest one way or the other while I'm building it, I'll include in this video. And of course, finally at the end, I will give you my thoughts. If after watching this review you decide to buy this tank, please use the link provided in the description to this video. The TOG 2 tank, officially named Heavy Tank TOG 2, is a super heavy tank designed by the British early in World War II to have a machine that could support infantry and cross trenches should the war descend into trench warfare similar to what happened in World War I. Well, the war didn't go that way, and so only this example was built. The name TOG comes from the old gang, being the same people that worked on the First World War British tanks. At 81.3 metric tons, the tank is huge. Unusually, the TOG 2 was propelled by a diesel-electric system, whereby a Casselman Ricardo 600 horsepower diesel engine produced power to drive the tank at 8.5 miles per hour using 2 electric motors. Aha! I think it has arrived. What do you think, doggy? And here it is coming out of the box. Just lightly wrapped. The box itself is quite nice. And of course, it is Reobrix. It's sponsored by World of Tanks. And included in the box is $25 US worth of World of Tanks bonuses. It has 1,427 pieces, is built to 1:30 scale, and of course, is a new product. All right, let's open this thing up. Okay, so you got your typical very thick manual here, and all the parts in bags. Let's have a look at it. Come on. Invite codes, instructions. No, I said I was going to be honest. I don't like stickers. I like pad printed. Will that affect how I like the overall tank at the end? Well, let's watch and see. I see there's a lot of Technic type parts in here. Yep, so let's see how this goes together. So I've opened bag number 1, and in it is one of these brick removal tool things. Now, the one thing I do like about this already is just how super thin this edge is. Because sometimes, you know, you need to be able to wiggle it right in a tight spot. So without trying it, I already like that feature. So what do I think about the parts now that I've opened them, felt them, put a few together? Unlike Kata or Kobe or Lego, you don't see the name or any branding on the top of any of the bricks here. Now, of course, that's no big deal. Here is a piece of Reobrix. Here's a Lego piece. A little tight, tiny bit tight with the Lego. Here's some Kata. A little looser with the Kata. Let's try another Kata piece. A little bit looser, but barely. Like, I'm talking smidges, very small smidge. Here's some Kobe parts. Yeah, a little bit. The Lego's ever so teeny to perceive it. Ever so slightly tighter. The Kobe and Kata are ever so slightly looser. Now, the quality of the plastic, I think it's very good. So thumbs up, Reobrix. The quality of your parts, I believe, having not built the whole thing yet, is very good. Okay. Ooh, as expected, I like that. Okay, I have to brace myself for the only tedious part of putting together tanks. You're lucky you don't have opposable thumbs, or you'd be doing it. So this is done. Now, I'm gonna say a couple things. One, this shows how huge this tank is when you consider how long these tracks are. The TOG 2 is just massive. These lock together very positively. There's a very positive click, and they lock together really, really well. In fact, some of my other tanks from other companies, sometimes when you handle them, the track will come apart. I don't think it's going to be a problem with this because they are such a positive lock. And also because of the positive lock and the robustness, it was fairly simple to put together, a little less tedious. And I'm going to say that this track so far, I haven't put it on the chassis yet, but this track compares very favorably. It shows very well. Of course, there's a few extra parts, but this one, just one, was tight. So that's bag number 1 done. Look at how long that set of tracks is. I just noticed that the bags are number 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4, 2-5, 2-6, and 2-7. Now, I don't know if that's in a particular order, if it's just for them at the manufacturer, but I'm going to just open bag 1 and then see if it does work that way. And maybe that means I can have less of a pile opened at once to search through. We'll see. So far, so good, but this piece right here, this rubber piece goes on there. And nothing I can do will keep it from popping off. Okay, if I let go of it, bonk. I like the clever use of the binoculars and the telephone. So here on page 65, instruction B91, putting these pieces on here. Now, if you see, this is on the underside. It's on the underside. When I press this one down, it kept popping that down and off. So because I couldn't get a brick piece to fit under there, I pressed up with the knife and down while pressing on the large piece at the same time. So if you get to this page and you're having similar trouble, that was my solution. There are some brick shapes and elements that are new to me, like this one with the, see the rounded bit there, and yeah. So interestingly enough, there's been a few elements in here so far that I've not seen before, and that's kind of exciting. I was very excited when I turned the page and discovered there is a driver compartment complete with some controls. The only thing is this one's a bit floppy. See if we can get it up here, see? Floppy. But still and for all, there are driver controls and a seat. That's cool. So here we are at the end of bag 2. We have the driver compartment in there, which I really like. Of course, you can't do everything with a brick model that you can with a fine scale plastic model. In fact, inside the driver compartment is the basket for the gun turret, with the driver squeezed in front of it. So this model, this brick model, doesn't have the basket. It's not completely accurate. But you know what? It's a brick model. I'm not going to quibble over fine scale details. So I'm including these pictures just so you know what the real thing is like. In fact, this picture is taken through the driver's forward port looking aft. The only confusion was this. This threw me. That little gray piece, the dark gray right along there, this is not, this drawing is incorrect. This is not how it actually is on here. I had to go back through pages. Just ignore that, and this whole piece will fit right on. I have been finding that if you put a piece anywhere in here and you press it down, if you just press down, it can start to crack and separate some of these pieces, like the spine of this, if that makes any sense. So it's a simple matter of just pressing clamp-wise. If you look at the drawings, this looks like a solid stud, but it's not. And therefore, I looked and looked for a piece like this that had a solid stud on it. There isn't one. So that hung me up for, 40 seconds. The filled in stud image carries on through all of this at a number of spots. But once you're aware of it initially, then no problem at all. It's been very easy. On a page 109, C76, these two pieces go on here, which is right here. Now, I discovered the hard way that you need to actually support this up. This whole piece needs to be supported up to press that on. Otherwise, things will go wrong. So now it's evening time, and this is how far I've gotten. So far, so good. I've been taking notes as I go, of course, so I can have a few things to say at the end. All right, one bag left. I guess just the turret. Wow. The video doesn't show it, but it's heavy. This thing is, yeah. It's very imposing. I have to say it's been really awesome to open the bags as I need. This 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, 4-4, 4-5. Curiously enough, I just lifted it up to do stuff and it fell down. This plate fell off of here. What's attaching this whole body here to this piece is just these. And I guess after pressing and picking it up and moving it, it worked its way off. I'll put it back on and we'll carry on. One thing I will mention about it, if your track does come apart, it probably would not be very easy to string it through the tank together. So one benefit of this just being fixed here is that you can easily hook your finger and prise the body off the tank chassis and therefore much more easily put the track back on. Well, now the day is late. It's now beer o'clock and we're still at it. And another surprise is this. You can see the sort of the breech end of the gun. Now it doesn't move. Obviously the gun barrel will go up and down. This doesn't. But it's a really lovely detail and a really lovely surprise to find the breech end of the gun in there. So that, you know, if you want to set a scene or whatever, you have all these options for opening the engine compartment and the and this, you know what I mean? It's I'm really impressed with the interior details of this model. This turret is super cool. It's old school. The gun is cool. I mean, seriously, this is super cool. And like I said, with the inside in there, just big, blocky, heavy. And of course, the real turret has these big, big rivets in it. So these studs kind of stand in for that. I really like the turret. The tank is pretty much done, so I can put that on there. It'll click right in. Look. Okay, so the tank is pretty much done. It's a massive, massive land ship. The next step, and the only thing left to do, are the stickers. They've come out with this Reobrix World of Tanks thing, and I love the simplicity of it. It's just a little round brick right in there. This is pad printed. Looks great. All right, it is now the next morning, and it is tea o'clock. And I'm just waking up to a very impressive model. Very impressive. Here is a Kobe Sherman tank, just for comparison. Now, these tanks, as I mentioned at the beginning, were built by the old group. The initial Mark I tank in World War I was conceived of as a land ship, and there was the Land Ship Commission. That same group built this, and of course, you know, the cover story of tank is what stuck ultimately, but they were originally called land ships. And you can see how this, had it been successful, had there been a need for it in World War II, you can see how this is kind of a land ship, right? It's quite large. Now, remember that wiggly piece that wouldn't stay on? Well, I didn't stick it to anything. I just tucked it down in there. So at least it's in there and it looks good. See, and the cover goes on there like that. I love, you know, the engine compartment. I love that you can look down in here and see the inside of the turret. I love this interior detail here. It's a fun Brix model, and as it is, I think it's brilliant. So, next step, stickers. All right, so the first thing I noticed is that this just has stickers numbers where you put the various stickers. And here we have the little wee teeny tiny numbers. See, 14, 9. All right, this sticker is kind of ruined because the image on it is flaked off and gone back on another sticky part, and I'm having trouble getting it off. The issue here is my fumbly fingers, I dropped this sticker. It fluttered to the floor. Of course, of Murphy's Law, it landed sticky side down. And in my effort to very carefully lift it with a knife, part of it did stick to the floor. So that's weird looking. It's supposed to go right there. Now, I've mentioned, and as you know, I don't like stickers, but I'm going to throw out a bone to Reobrix here because these aren't traditional stickers. Now, I discovered this only by dropping that one and realizing, well, wait a second now, the back of the sticker seems to come apart. There's nothing explicit in the instructions about it that I could see. I mean, unless I'm missing something. But what it is it's a transfer. So this piece, so you stick the sticker on and then you pull it off. And what's left, you transfer that. So you don't have that sort of massive sticker shine everywhere. It's just a transfer. Now that's somewhere in between pad printing and stickers. I'm gonna tell you, it's way better than stickers. I like it. Do I like it as much as pad printed? No. But it's certainly a lot better than stickers. Here on the glasses, or is it glacis? I don't know how you pronounce it properly, but the front sloped armor of the tank has TOG 2 written there, and that's nice. But perhaps if Reobrix comes out with a future edition of this tank, I would encourage them to use the actual plate that's on the tank, and I'll show it right now. One thing I've noticed is that you gotta press really hard. So press hard on the parts that stay behind, because I've started to lift off some of the outer plastic and some of it came with it. Not a big deal, I just press it back down and just press hard, and it should work. So I think I've pressed these hard now. So I'm just going to use this knife to try to lift the corner a bit. I can grab there. I could use tweezers, of course. And that little corner is not coming up entirely properly. So press it down again. And just lift it up and see. See? That sticker pop came off there. There. Almost looks like pad printing. Okay, for a guy that doesn't like stickers, surprisingly to me, I found it strangely enjoyable to put these transfers on. Now you have to be really careful to keep them straight, and with my fumbly fingers, a few of them are a little off center. I think it's a very imposing model. It's really growing on me. Now it's funny, there's a few little minor issues during the building that I showed you. But once finished, and I see how big this thing is and heavy and detailed with the interior details and stuff that you just don't get, that don't come across on video, I've really fallen in love with it. I really like it. It does definitely get a thumbs up. I mean, I said I was going to do an honest review, and I did. Every brick model I've ever built has something that's a little weird about it, without exception. So this is a good tank. I think for the price point they're selling these at, they're a good value. Why don't we move to my large scale layout room where I'll show you how I'm going to use this tank. And then I'm going to conclude the video with my list of things I didn't really like, followed by the things I really do like about it. Despite the fact that my large scale trains are generally 1:24 scale and the tanks are 1:32, and this TOG 2 is 1:30, which means they're smaller. I do use them with my trains. I have this military sort of museum tank area, and this TOG 2 is certainly going to be an amazing addition to rotate through here. Now that I've built the thing and have experience with it, I'm going to tell you my last final thoughts. The things that bothered me a little bit were what I initially thought were stickers, but they turned out being dry transfers. I still prefer pad printing, but the dry transfers were still somehow satisfying. The hose piece that didn't stay on but sprung off, however, you saw how I tucked it in, so that's really not a big issue either. I had to slide the knife in under there to get the front fenders on because there was no room to get my fingers to press fit. So there's a few little here and there sort of design features in the building that, could possibly be improved on, but again, they're minor. And following on that, of course, there's a few minor issues with the instruction drawings. Again, not a deal breaker, didn't harm my enjoyment of building this thing. Just wanted to point it out because I'm being picky and I'm doing a detailed review. And finally, it doesn't roll that easily with the body on, but then neither do any of my other tanks really. Now, the things I liked. The brick quality is good. Getting the tracks put together and out of the way early in the build, I really appreciated that. It allowed me then to go on to enjoy the rest of the build without having the tediousness of putting all those little track pieces together at the end. This model surprised me with a few different brick elements that I've not seen before. I always like that. The robustness of the tracks is very good. I really like the ordered small bags, preventing having to search in large piles of bricks. I really love the interior details, the engine, all that sort of stuff I've talked about already. I also found it a very interesting build. It was different than other tanks that I've built. The combination as well of using Technic pieces. So if you grew up loving Lego Technic, you're going to get your Technic ha-has here, in addition to your regular building bricks. As mentioned, I really like the brick tool. All in all, I'm going to tell you that I really like this tank. I do. I hope that you've enjoyed this review and find it useful. This is a great tank. I really like it. I've fallen in love with it. Given that there's not much else to say other than I really like it and give it a thumbs up, I want to thank you for watching this video. Don't forget that if you order this tank, to use my link in the description.